Well, there we go. Turn the volume up. Hopefully you guys can think we're live. Uh, Probably be a little bit before somebody enters the chat because I screwed up. I set it up and then went to add the title and backspaced and took the picture beforehand. Backspace, had to add the title, and then the camera decided to flip the other direction. And I don't know why, but it seems like you can't change directions once it's set up. It's set up on YouTube, which is just weird to me. You should be able to flip the camera. But here we got one in the chat so far. So people are moseying in. I'll have to delete the other video. It just showed a flash of me, and we just redid everything, so I'll delete the other one after we finish this video. So I'm kind of doing this video for, gosh, I wish I knew his actual title of his channel, but his name's Mike. I know it's Bigfoot something, but he goes out in the woods and hangs out there for hours and hours, no end, looking for Bigfoot, which is pretty cool. A lot of Bigfoot followers, and I was in one of his live chats last week, and he didn't know what a bush hog was, so I was just doing this video pretty much just to educate him on what a bush hog is, along with others. So what you see here is a bush hog. And we picked this puppy up off of Craigslist yesterday. Long drive. It was brutal, but it'll be worth it. It's nice to have one of these things around. I know it doesn't look like much, but this is old American steel. Not the new stuff. The guy that I purchased it from said that the newer land prides, if you guys can see it there, it's kind of in the shadow. There's the name brand, if you can make it out from the sun and the shadow. Land pride. They're real good equipment for tractors. Oh, excuse me, and they were actually made in the USA back in these days. Right there's the flag, made in the USA. So this is back when they built stuff. That's why this puppy's still around to this day. I'd have to guess it's probably from the 90s, if one had to guess. I'm just kind of shooting from the hip here on that. But the newer ones are made out of 12 gauge steel, and this one is actually made out of 10 gauge steel. The previous owner informed me on. So you know, just a lot beefier steel, made probably with American steel versus the garbage that we're buying today. It's PTO driven, and that's why these things are so powerful. So what you see there is a shaft that hooks directly to the PTO on the motor, which directly hooks to the motor. So it's basically metal to metal, motor driven. It's not a belt system like a lot of lawnmowers and such, where they're going to bog down and things like that. These things are extremely dangerous, guys. You don't want to be around one when one is running one of these. These things will launch rocks, boulders. They'll cut trees 2-3 inches thick, just chop them right off like nothing flat. It's like a weed whacker on steroids. So this has got a, a hard tire. There's no air in that whatsoever. So there's no flats, just real durable, something you can take out in, 5, 10, 20 acre pasture. You could take it out on 100-acre pasture because they come in different sizes. I got this little miniature guy. Mine's 4 feet wide. I'd say including the tire on the back, it's probably maybe 6 foot long or so. And just has a gearbox up here. And you put oil in the gearbox, and there's blades on the bottom that just spin around like your lawnmower. So this all hooks up to a 3-point hitch. So you can see here, find my finger, right here's one of your points. Right here's one of your points on the opposite side. And up top here, you'll hook to a 3-point type of tractor setup. My tractor has the backhoe attachment, but that comes off, and then there's a 3-point hitch. So let's head over to the tractor, and I'll kind of show you guys where it hooks up. But Mike just didn't know what a bush hog was, so just kind of wanted to show him what a bush hog was and explain what it does. The county that I live in has not done anything with the weeds and stuff out the intersection where I live. I live on a corner lot, and it's just sad. But states and counties, government across America are just broke right now. So they haven't cut down any of the weeds, and we've gotten massive amounts of rain this year. So literally the weeds are as tall as the stop sign damn near. So this here, guys, is part of the 3-point. Those posts will go through that little hole there, and there's one on the other side, and then there's a link that ties to this guy here. Actually, it has a link in there. I didn't think it came with one, so I actually purchased a link separate, but it actually came with one, so that's cool. I got 2 of them now, I guess. And that link will come up to the top side of the triangle, hence why it's called a 3-point. So down here, if you can still see that white thing there, that's a shaft. It's still got the styrofoam on it because this is a brand new tractor. And you would engage that. That's called a PTO. Paul, Tom, Oliver. PTO stands for power take off. And it's basically just a shaft that's hooked up directly to the motor that you can engage and disengage. So here would be your controls for the PTO, and you'd want to run this at 540 RPMs here. So that's how you would engage the bush hog. And over here you can raise it up in the air, set it down. Hey, there's G. What's happening, brother? Yeah, I had a little goof when I went to go live. Had the camera facing the wrong direction, so I think a lot of people just clicked it, and I just didn't erase it, and just started another video because the damn camera was facing the wrong direction. So is what it is. I'll just post it after I go live. There were some questions on what a PT or a bush hog was. I'll walk back over to the bush hog now, because G probably don't know what a bush hog is now either. So we'll do it again so you don't have to even hit the rewind, brother. I bought a new tractor, and I was just saying, see, here's some weeds in my yard. I've been clearing this stuff with the tractor, and it's just absolute insanity. It's like that on the streets. There's a mountain view there, but you can see the streets are exactly like that as well. That's a 5-foot fence, guys. I mean, if you can imagine, those are, some 4, 5 feet tall, the weeds. It's just absolute insanity. And the county's done absolutely nothing about it. So I bought a bush hog. I'm just going to handle it myself. The intersection there, when you pull up, I live on the corner, and you pull up and you can't even see if a car is coming the other direction. So we went and got a bush hog, which is basically a weed whacker on steroids. So this shaft here hooks directly up to the PTO. So that's a direct link to the motor on the tractor. And you've got your gearbox here. And the gearbox goes down underneath and spins these monstrous sized blades underneath. And it just has a wheel in the back that'll just follow you. I beat the sagebrush off of thousands of acres of land that was being opened for farmland. It's fun for a while, then not so much. Yeah, too much of anything, it can be not good eventually, right? But it's an old beater, but you know what I like about it most is it was made in America back when things were made in America. So that's why it's still around, because it was built with quality stuff. Right there, says right on it, made in America. Now I'm sure they're probably outsourced to you know who, and cheaper gauge metal and so forth. So, you can buy a brand new one today for, well, my size, they're probably around $2,500 to $3,500. I picked this one up for $500. So I think I did really well. I had to drive a long ways to go get it to farm country over there in California. But it's going to do exactly what I want. It's not something I need to clear 5-10 acres for farmland like Mouse said there in the comments, or hundreds or thousands of acres with it. I just want something to clean the damn gully up running down the streets, and maybe a little trimming in the yard from time to time, but I like to get them at the root with the loader bucket in the yard just to do away with them. I had a major flood this year, so we got invaded with weed seeds just washed in from all around the neighborhood, so the weeds just kind of overtook the entire yard. So let's see here. That's great price. Extra blade. I wouldn't say extra blade, but he just changed the blades. It has brand new blades on it, and he gave me the old blades. So I guess if you want to count the old blades as extra blades, he said I could sharpen them up, and we'll maybe look into that once I hit something with this bad boy, maybe knock it off balance or something. But I do know, you may see it from the reflection in the sun, that there's oil dripping here. And he tells me, he says, oh, well, the only thing I can see that's wrong with this thing is the breather, whatever you call it there, on the bolt on the top, drips a little oil from time to time. And he says, so I'm not trying to hide anything. He had it lifted up on the 3-point and a blanket laying down so I could get up underneath and see that he changed the blades. And he said, we can pull this plug here. You can look at the oil. I'm not trying to hide anything, blah, blah, blah. He was a, honest old farm boy. So he pulls the cap on that sucker. And I says, well, it's dripping oil because you got too much oil in it. He had it filled all the way to the top. So, if you're going to put oil in one of these things, guys, you only want to fill them up to this guy. So he thought this was the drain plug to get it out, and this was your fill to put it back in. So he had her filled to the brim. So that's why it's puking oil out the top. So I don't know if that was maybe a reason why he sold it. I didn't really get the full story, but I talked to him for a couple weeks emailing because he was, I guess it took me probably about 3.5 hours to get up there. So it was a hike, a journey going up to get it, and I knew it was going to have to be something that needed to be planned. It wasn't just a little 30-minute run out of my way. But I don't think there's anything at all wrong with it. I need to get that oil out of there. And considering he put that much oil in there, kind of tells me he didn't really know what he was doing. So who knows? He could have put motor oil in the damn thing. So I'm going to get all the oil out of there. That'll kind of give me a little insight of the internals in there. If there's any metal flakes or anything, allow me to kind of see what's really going on in there. And I'm thinking some of that Lucas oil, that's supposed to be good stuff, or definitely gear oil, some 90 weight something. Might go on to Land Pride website or something, do a little investigation, but I'm thinking that Lucas oil is pretty much good for just about anything. So a little spendy, but it's old and it deserves it. So there's our 3-point, guys. Hooks up to the 3-point. For those of you who don't know, there's your 1-point, 2-point, and this guy here has a post that comes out and ties to the top of that triangle. I'll back up so I'm not shadowing it. It's lucky you didn't get it too hot and make all the seals leak with that overfill. Yeah, I agree, Mouse, totally. He said he didn't use it a whole lot. He was on one of those portable oxygen makers. I don't know what you call them, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. They're only a couple pounds, not really a tank. It takes the air and creates oxygen. He went through a spell with what we've been going on. I don't even want to say the word, but said he spent 5 months in the hospital, poor guy. So I don't know his deal. Didn't get into asking personal questions, but I think he was just kind of selling everything. Kind of giving up on life. Can't say I would blame him if I was in the damn hospital for 5 months. So this is the girl I just bought, old Massey Ferguson. Well, I say old, but she's brand new, 2022, and I like it so far. It's a pretty good unit. If anything, I think I would have maybe went up one size, but it does the job. I'm trying to back up so I can get a full picture of it. There we go. Pretty good there. Got the backhoe attachment on the back. I tell everybody it'll do anything you want it to do. It just takes longer to do it. I think it's about the smallest tractor one can buy. It's probably comparable to the BX model that Kubota makes. And kind of had some regrets of maybe questioning myself for not doing research, which I religiously do with anything and everything I buy. And I don't know, the flood scared me, and just spur of the moment I went out and just bought this one. But I definitely could have got a little bit more bang for my buck with the Kubota versus this one after pricing them afterwards. But it's a good little unit. It does the job. It just takes longer to do it. It's kind of a big lawnmower. Hey Mo, what's happening, brother? Mo's in the house. Yeah, I just picked up a bush hog, Mo. Gonna do some weed mowing on the street. You're in the same county, so I'm sure the county hasn't touched your weeds on your street either. and it's just getting ridiculous up here with all the rain we've had this year. So I've been trimming them down with the loader in the yard. As you can see, I still got plenty of work to do around here, but got the front yard looking good. But I want to get them at the roots in the yard. With the flood, it just went crazy. But you know, there's across the way, that's a 5-foot fence, and the weeds are damn near up to the fence. Some places they're over the fence. That's a 6-foot fence across the street. So mine's a 5, and in spots they're actually up 6 feet. Hey, there's Mike. This is why I did this video for you, brother. We were in that live chat last week and you didn't know what a bush hog was. So this here is a bush hog, Mike. We'll do it again just for you because you are the reason I did this video. This hooks up to the back of a tractor to what they call a 3-point hitch. And it's gear driven. The PTO it hooks up to, which is called a power takeoff, which is directly, basically geared to the motor on the tractor. So it's not like a belt drive where you would maybe see like on a riding lawnmower where the belt's going to slip. It's just not as strong. We'll use that word. This basically is a lawnmower on steroids, I guess is the best way to maybe describe it. So it's all gear driven. It has what you call like shear pins. And if you were to hit something really brutal that would stop the blades or something like that, it will literally break a bolt. They call them shear pins. So it doesn't actually break your motor since it's all gear driven. So this is just a mower deck basically. And it's called a bush hog. They're actually called a brush hog. And bush hog is actually a brand name. One of the original bush hogs that they made, or brush hogs rather I should say, was a brand name called bush hog. This one here is a Land Pride. Don't know if you can see it from the shadow, but it's an old Land Pride. And it's a beater. But right there says it all. Made in the USA, baby. So this is back when they made stuff. This is real thick, heavy gauge steel. And it'll literally last a lifetime. It's probably lasted a couple ranchers' lifetimes. And it'll definitely last me the rest of my life. Because I don't have 10, 20, 50, 100 or nowhere near 1,000 acres like some ranchers or what have you to mow down. I just got a little small lot and gonna help the county to prevent an accident at the intersection of my home. So this will hook up, Mike, to a 3-point, what they call. Here's 1 point. This post here is a 2nd point, and right here is a 3rd point. Right here is the shaft that goes back to the motor. Just gear driven, which attaches to the blades on the bottom. So pretty simple setup. It's like a drive line, a drive axle right here, what you would see like in an old rear wheel drive car that goes from the motor to the transmission. So a drive line can move a car or a truck or what have you on down the road. So just kind of giving the example that it's not a belt. It's gear driven by a drive axle. So it's no joke. This thing will launch boulders right through a windshield or through a window in your house or what have you. Probably even kill somebody if it hit them in the right spots. You really don't want to be around when these things are operating. They are no joke. So that hooks up to what you call a 3-point. One of the big reasons that I bought this tractor is it had, the backhoe right here, and this can be removed, And then the 3-point on most tractors, you have to add the 3-point stuff, these links, but on the Massey Ferguson it all folds right in there. And right here's the third link. You can see here there's a bar that's hanging down, and that would hook to the top link. Those two studs fit inside here. And way down in the bottom, I don't know if you can see that thing down in there that's white. That's styrofoam. That's around the PTO shaft. So the PTO shaft would hook up to that drive axle, and voila. That's pretty much how it hooks up. So a little lesson for Mike, since he didn't know what a bush hog was. That's how it all works. So the guy just changed the blades on the bush hog, and he gave me the old ones. So you guys can see these. Bring them out here in the sun maybe. That's what they look like. Now I can't see you, so I don't know what you're seeing. Let me turn around so the sun's not blasting in my face. There we go. Now I can see what you're seeing. So that's the blades on that sucker. They're, I'd say maybe 18, 20 inches, probably about 20 inches long. And this thing is no joke. Flip this thing on its side and see how thick it is. There's my finger, guys. When that piece of steel comes flipping around off of a PTO that's moving 540 rotations per minute, it's taking out shit. So that's why I bought it. You can take these things literally through 5-6 foot tall weeds with no hesitation. It's just going to mow them down like they're not even there. So that's the plan. I come home from work and I come up to that stop sign every day, and it's literally pulling my vehicle out into the middle of the intersection so I can even see if a car's coming the other direction. So I'm just going to mow them down probably next weekend. It was a big chore going to get this thing yesterday, and I want to get the oil situation taken care of because the guy put too much oil in this motor. So we'll go over that again too. I don't know who was in the chat, but the old timer had the oil filled up to the brim right here, and it should be filled up to this. You pull that plug there, you add your oil until it starts coming out of here. Once you get it level, of course, and once it's filled up to there, that's all the oil you need, guys. So the old timer filled it up to the brim here, and he says, well, it's been puking a little oil out the top, out the breather. So that would be why it's puking oil out the breather. So doesn't seem as if he blew any seals or anything. I think the breather saved it. It would be puking oil everywhere. So he either didn't run it long enough to get it hot, or that breather saved the day with all that oil in there. So I'm going to get that oil out of there and put the right amount in there. And when I drain it, it can kind of give me some information about the internals on it. But hey, I think I did pretty good for 500 bucks. If it lasts a year or two, I got my money's worth, guys, as far as I'm concerned. And this sucker's heavy. So guy could probably even take it to the scrap yard and get 50 bucks back. So I'm happy with it. It ain't the prettiest thing. I'll probably rattle can it red just so it matches the tractor. But if not, who gives a shit? It's going to serve the purpose of what I want and do the county's job after paying taxes for no damn reason. Gotta love our government. All right, let's get over here in the shade so I can maybe read something in the chat. Can't see nothing out here in the sun. Took the van to actually go get it. It did pretty well, but it actually was overheating quite a bit, pulling the trailer. That thing will outlast you. Yeah, I know. That's what I said before you got in here, Mo. I'm sure it's probably outlived a couple ranchers. You know, if I had to guess, it's probably definitely from the 90s. Maybe even been built in the 80s. Who knows? She's pretty beat up, but you know, it is what it is. That sucker's been around. It's paid its dues. And like I say, I'm not going to use it crazy, mowing acres and acres and acres. But hey, you know, guy gets laid off. Guy could go easily around to vacant lots and just clear lots for extra buck here and there. Carry good fire extinguishers with you. Those blades can start fires with rock strikes. That's a very good point, Mo. Very good point, especially around here when it's dry. You know, everything's green right now, but definitely once all this crap dries out, I could definitely see that happening for sure. So great idea. I've been wanting to put one on the tractor anyway, so that's even more of a reason to do so. So that about sums it up. I just wanted to do that this video for Mike because he didn't know what a bush hog was. I see the old timer took the guards off. That's something else I probably want to address before I start knocking down weeds with it, but I'll probably do a live for you guys when I get this thing up and going, probably next weekend. Like I say, I'm in no rush. Next weekend I'll probably get into the draining the oil, putting the proper stuff in there, and usually have a guard here. You can see where the holes are in the front. A lot of times they're made out of chain, which is probably what I'll use, and it's just to prevent, you know, rocks and stuff from getting thrown out from underneath there. But you know, we're pretty well covered around on the sides. The side here is pretty low to the ground, and the back isn't too far from it. Even if it was to hit something, I think it would probably angle it downwards. And a little bit beat up, but nothing a sledgehammer can't take care of. I'll beat on this puppy and straighten it out a little bit, and maybe pick up a can of Massey Ferguson Red and give her a paint job and just kind of take the ugliness away. Like putting lipstick on a pig, I guess, so it don't really matter. But definitely want to get some kind of chain set up there. I got some old tire chains from over the years when you buy different cars, different wrong sizes, and you know, I don't know why you keep those stupid things, but I've definitely got probably 2-3 sets of those laying around. So I was thinking maybe I could get a bolt through some tire chains or something and bolt something on the front. Either that or I'll look into what an actual chain guard, I think is what they're called. See what one of those run. They can't cost too much, but I was just thinking I got some tire chains laying around, so that'd be better than nothing. So we'll see if I can adapt a set of tire chains onto the front of that thing. All right, we're gonna check the chat here one more time, and I'm gonna call it. Outlast you, couldn't agree more. You could make a fortune here. Yeah, I know. I can make a fortune here too. I've probably had 25 neighbors say, oh, I need this, I need that, I need this. I said, have you seen my yard? It's kind of like the electrical business, man. Everybody knows you're in the electrical business. Like I can't go out to dinner and sit down and have a meal. And the waitress asks you, what do you do? Oh, I'm an electrician. Oh, well, I got a ceiling fan I need hung. Yeah, I know you do. I got one that needs to be hung too. If you can find an electrician, let me know. Massey Ferguson is yellow? Huh. Well, my Massey Ferguson is red. Maybe the older ones were yellow? I'm trying to think back. I can't argue with you because I remember them being red, but maybe you're right. I'm sure sure you are correct, or you wouldn't be saying that they're yellow. But I remember them red, and mine is red, even from the factory. I just bought another one. I grew up with Massey Ferguson. Yes, you did. So I guess they used to be yellow, huh, Mo? Dad was the largest dealer in the country for 5 years. Oh, wow. That's cool. And that was over in California, I'm sure. I think you grew up there in SoCal. That's pretty cool. So I guess they used to be yellow. It's been confirmed. If Daddy was a dealer, you know, damn sure know what color they were. I just remember them being red. I can't say, you know, maybe. I don't know. It's kind of coming back to me now. I'm thinking maybe I did see some kind of like, you know, caterpillar yellow, I guess. A duller color. Kind of real similar to this bush hog, actually, that color yellow. Right across the street from the original Cal Worthington Dodge. Back in the 50s and 60s, Massey was yellow. After the merger, they started with the red. Interesting. Yeah, I like history like that. I had an old Oliver tractor years ago. That probably just lit up a few light bulbs. You guys talking about the history of Massey Ferguson. You guys are probably familiar with the old Olivers. Kind of wish I kept that old boy, but I don't know. I can't say I've actually torn down a tractor before. I'm one, when I was younger, I'd tear into anything and figure it out and put it back together. But I don't know, I guess the older you get, you're just, maybe just get a little more gun shy. Just if I tear this damn thing apart, how long is it going to take me to put it back together? And I don't know. I was just scared I'd have something major go wrong with it because it was so old. And I don't know. I'm sure I made money on it. I've always done pretty well with tractors. When I buy them, I've always bought them and sold them for a little bit more than what I even bought them for after using them for years. So I want to say maybe, you know, I made $1,000 or something on the Oliver, but I don't know if you're familiar with Oliver at all, but they actually made implements for Ford, the old 8 ends, and you know, before then I guess what was the 2 ends, but they made the attachments for Ford tractors. And I did a lot of research on it, and I'm shooting from the hip here, but Ford had some issues. I think they got tied up in a lawsuit or something. I can't remember actually what it was over, but it was something to do with a lawsuit. And so they stopped selling tractors because of this lawsuit. And Oliver was making all of their attachments. So Oliver said, screw it. Ford's not buying our attachments. We're pretty much out of business. So they invented their own tractor and made it better than the old 8 ends and things like that. So it was a hell of a tractor. It really was a good tractor. And then I bought a Kubota, and that's the one I should have kept. It was just a little bit bigger than this Massey Ferguson that I bought, so it was the perfect size. But once again, it was just an old Kubota, and that old gut feeling in your stomach, if something major goes wrong on this puppy, it's going to cost me. So I just bit the bullet, went over to Massey Ferguson. They told me 0% interest, and I said sold. So with interest rates on the rise, I couldn't turn down 0% interest. So I got it for 0% interest for 72 months. With insurance, it's about $350 a month. And it was about $25,000 out the door. So I think I did pretty good. It damn sure beats a shovel and a wheelbarrow. I know I could have done better. Probably buying a Kubota. They're a little bit cheaper than that. I could have probably got the next size tractor up. But I'm sure they also would have wanted interest. So price plus interest most likely equals more than what I'm going to end up paying for this one. So I'm happy with what I got. It does what I need. It just takes a little longer to do it. I ran an open deck Massey Ferguson swather for years. What a joy. It actually was a great machine, just no comforts. Yeah, that's how they were. And heavy, because they were old American steel, which we all miss so much. That old Oliver was built like a tank, man. That thing would go anywhere and do anything. We actually found hearsay, I assume, I don't know if it was the original, what do you call them, septic tanks for the house here. My house was built long ago. Back in late 40s, they started building on it, I guess. So it's a really old home. And back then, like I say, I don't know if it was the original, but it was a 55-gallon drum buried in the ground, and said to be it was the old septic tank. So I don't know if they used that as a septic tank during construction, or if that was the actual septic tank that they used for the actual house. But either way, I ended up finding that 55-gallon drum because of that Oliver. I was driving around in the yard, and the whole front end just seemed like it fell out from underneath the tractor. And I said, what the hell? And come to find out, one of the tires had fell down inside that 55-gallon drum. So pretty comical day, thinking that the tractor fell apart, and it ended up being a 55-gallon drum buried in the yard. Poor dirt farmer, what's happening? I was just showing people what a bush hog is. Poor dirt farmer probably knows what a bush hog is, so I don't think we need to go over that. Farmers know what bush hogs are. Can't talk there. But if you're a poor dirt farmer, you might be using a shovel and a wheelbarrow. Is that what you're using these days, poor dirt farmer? If you are, God bless you, because that's what I've been using all these years. I stepped up to a tractor, so just running around trying to find some old used attachments cheap, because I got a payment on the tractor now. So we're not going to be buying any new attachments. So I picked up a old Land Pride, and it was made in America. So loves the tractor. Have you seen my tractor? You haven't seen it? I'll walk back over there. I got a little miniature Massey Ferguson. Let's see if Dirt Farmer seen my tractor yet. Well, you haven't. Well, you're live, so it's only about 20-30 feet away, so we may as well show you. Let me head over this way, get away from it a little bit, because I don't know, I never have figured out how to do landscape on the phone when I'm live. So got to back up away from it there. There she is. It's kind of like the BX model Kubota. Little miniature guy. Do anything you want it to do, just takes twice as long. But it's full-wheel drive. And Massey Ferguson gave me 0% interest for 72 months, so I couldn't pass it up. It was about $25,000 out the door. Payments are $350 a month, including insurance. Got a 4-foot bucket on it, and the BH 2720 backhoe made by Massey Ferguson. And I believe they dig down about 6.5 feet, if I recall. But it's a decent machine. It really is. I've been happy with it. I had one hydraulic leak so far, and can't complain. I bought it from Ott's Let's give them a shout out. There they are. They're over in Fallon, Nevada. There it is. 5130 Reno Highway, Fallon, Nevada. There's their phone number. These guys actually came to my house and fixed it. And a nice gentleman showed up and ended up just being a Allen key. For those of you that may have this model, he pulled this boot off and went up underneath with an Allen key and tightened up a couple Allen screws in there. I think he said it was 3 or 4 of them. It's usually only one that leaks, but he was just going to go ahead and tighten them all up, and haven't had a problem out of it since. It's been a nice machine. I got, I don't know, probably 15 hours on it so far. So pretty hard to work it as much as I'd like to work it, but guy has to work for a living too. I've been doing 50 to 58 hours a week, and you know, we come home and do honeydews on weekends when I'm not working Saturdays. But it's a nice machine. I like it. 25 grand, I don't think I did too bad. The 0% interest is where I really think I did really well. And we'll walk back over to that bush hog one more time, just to show the old dirt farmer. I'm sure you know what a bush hog is. I can't read the chat anymore until I go back in the shade, but I'll just give you a quick glance at it. It's an oldie but goodie. 3-point drive line, drive shaft there. And that's the big thing right there. Oldie but goodie, made in the USA. Love it. It's made out of 10 gauge steel instead of 12 gauge steel, like the ones that are made today. And not to mention they're, you know, made out of crappy steel to begin with. So you kind of get shot in the foot with crappy steel. And then what do they do with crappy steel? They make it even thinner. And then what do they do after making crappy steel thinner? They charge you 10 times as much for it. So it's a lose, lose, lose all the way around. Heck yeah, that's sweet. Yeah, it's a cool machine, man. Nice. Now you can do about anything. Yeah, I've been working that puppy. Mr. David Divine Broadcasted. If you guys aren't subbed to his channel, go do so. I'm a mod over there. He's a hell of a nice guy. We have some pretty cool shows over there. And his line is Calm Down. So if you're excited about what's going on in the world, go over to the David Divine broadcast when he's live, and we all just calm down. Yeah, there it is, David. Nothing spectacular. I'm guessing probably late 80s, maybe 90s. Bush hog. Nothing spectacular, but you don't see that anymore. Made in the USA, brother. Picked it up for 500 bucks. These things are like $3,000 new. And that's what I was saying when you come in the chat. The steel they make them out of today is crap, and they're even making them out of thinner gauge metal, and the steel sucks to begin with. And that one was probably 500 bucks new. I paid 500 new used for it, but you know, now they want 3 grand for them, or even better sometimes. Yeah, it's awesome to see the flag. One could only hope we start seeing the flag again eventually. All right, guys. Well, we only got a couple in the chat here, so I just wanted to sign on to show Bigfoot Mike what a bush hog was mainly. Been rambling, pretty much repeating the same stuff almost an hour now. but a lot of people don't know what a bush hog is, which actually in reality it's called a brush hog. Bush hog is actually a name brand, but a lot of people just go by bush hog. So it's a lawnmower on steroids. Direct drive driven off the PTO of a tractor, and the blades are as thick as your finger. So once them blades get going, 540 rotations per minute, 500, 540 rotations per minute. That sucker's flying around and will literally chop a 2-3 inch tree right in half. They are no joke, nothing to play with. If you're around one while it's running, get away from it, guys. You definitely don't want to be around a bush hog that's spinning around. They will pick up a boulder and launch it right through a windshield or anything else. They're nothing to play with. So stay safe out there, guys. Van signing off. Just wanted to educate some people on what a bush hog was. Happy Sunday. You guys relax the rest of the evening. As for me, I got another long work week ahead. So I'm going to go in and unwind and get ready for the work week. So we'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for coming and hanging out for a little while. We will see you on the next one. Probably next weekend I'll get this thing put on the tractor and we'll do some mowing with it and show you guys what these things will really do and what they'll chop down. I'm going to show you guys that these things will just mow through 5-foot weeds like nothing flat. It's amazing. All right, guys. See you on the next one. Thanks. Van, and I'm out.